It begins on a quiet night in Abilene, Texas, a town that, for the most part, is painted with the stillness of wide open spaces and the kind of neighborhoods where children's laughter fills the streets during the day. But on this night in 2007, behind the walls of one home, an unthinkable act was about to unfold, one that would forever devastate a mother, shatter a family, and haunt investigators with the chilling nature of its truth. 13-year-old Paris Bennett, a gifted child with an IQ said to be higher than most adults, was left at home with his 4-year-old sister Ella. Their mother, Charity, had hired a babysitter to stay with them while she was away for the evening. It seemed like just another night. But no one could have imagined that beneath Paris's quiet exterior, beneath the mask of the polite and intelligent teenager, was a darkness simmering, waiting for the right moment to surface. At some point during the night, Paris managed to persuade the babysitter to step out of the house. Whether through charm, manipulation, or calculated persistence, he convinced her that it would be safe, that nothing could possibly go wrong if she left for a little while. And so she did. In that window of time when the house was quiet, Paris made a choice. One so horrifying, so incomprehensible, that it remains one of the most disturbing acts of fratricide in modern true crime. He entered the room of his little sister, Ella, and ended her life. Minutes later, he dialed 911.
Abilene 911.
Hello?
Abilene 911, go ahead.
I accidentally killed somebody.
You think you killed somebody?
No, I know I did. I woke up and I was hallucinating.
You were hallucinating?
Yes, and I thought my sister was a demon and I killed her.
Is she bleeding anywhere?
Yes, she's bleeding all over the bed.
But when first responders arrived, what they saw didn't align with the story Paris was weaving. The evidence was clear, and the horror of what had taken place inside that room was undeniable. This is the story of Paris Bennett and Ella Bennett. A story of a boy whose mind harbored a darkness that even his mother could not have foreseen. A story of a 4-year-old girl whose life was stolen before it had even truly begun. And a story that would send shockwaves through not just a family, but anyone who learned the truth of what happened that night. The night of February 5, 2007, was supposed to be uneventful. Charity Bennett, the mother of Paris and Ella, had arranged for a babysitter to watch her 2 children while she took a brief break from the constant demands of parenting. For her, leaving her children in someone else's care was not unusual. After all, Paris was 13 years old enough to be responsible, old enough to keep an eye on his younger sister if needed. Charity trusted him, as any mother would. The babysitter, a young woman familiar with the family, settled into the living room while Ella played with her toys and Paris, quiet as always, lingered in the background. Paris had a reputation for being exceptionally intelligent. Teachers spoke of his advanced mind, his ability to grasp complex ideas far beyond his age. People often said he was destined for greatness. But what none of them realized was that Paris's intelligence also gave him the ability to manipulate, to strategize, and to mask emotions he didn't want others to see. That night, Paris began working on the babysitter with subtle suggestions. At first it might have seemed harmless. He insisted that he and Ella would be fine if she stepped outside for a while. Maybe he told her he wanted to feel grown up, to prove he could handle responsibility. Maybe he played on her trust, assuring her that his mother wouldn't mind. Whatever words he used, they carried weight, because eventually the babysitter left. Perhaps she thought it would only be a few minutes. Perhaps she thought she was giving him a chance to show maturity. What she didn't realize was that her decision would become a point of no return. The moment the door shut behind her, silence fell over the house. And in that silence, Paris's mind was no longer occupied with games, television, or schoolwork. It was focused entirely on one thought: Ella. His 4-year-old sister, innocent, full of energy, with her whole life ahead of her. To anyone else, Ella was a child to be cherished, but to Paris, she had become the object of a plan he had already formed in his mind. Investigators later pieced together that this was not an impulsive act. Paris had been thinking about it for some time. He walked quietly down the hall, his footsteps deliberate, as though savoring the inevitability of what he was about to do. He entered Ella's bedroom. She was there, perhaps clutching a toy, perhaps already drifting towards sleep, unaware of the shadow looming over her. In those final moments, she could not have imagined that the brother she loved, the one she trusted, was about to betray her most irreversibly. What happened next was brutal. Paris attacked Ella, ending her life with violence no child should ever endure. The exact details were so horrifying that even seasoned investigators later admitted they struggled to process the crime scene. This was not a tragic accident. This was not a moment of blind rage. It was deliberate, calculated, and chilling in its execution. When it was done, Paris did something almost as disturbing as the act itself. He picked up the phone and dialed 911.
Abilene 911.
Hello?
Abilene 911, go ahead.
I accidentally killed somebody.
You think you killed somebody?
No, I know I did. I woke up and I was hallucinating.
You were hallucinating?
Yes, and I thought my sister was a demon and I killed her.
Okay, where's your sister now?
She's in the bed.
Is she breathing?
No, I looked. I feel so messed up.
Okay, calm down, okay? I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's your sister's name?
Her name is Ella. Ella Bennett.
How old is Ella?
4.
She's 4 years old? How old are you?
13.
Is she bleeding anywhere?
Yes, she's bleeding all over the bed. Because I stabbed her.
What did you stab her with?
A knife.
Okay, where'd you stab her?
Lots of places.
Okay, Paris, where's the knife?
It's on the bed with her.
I want you to start CPR, okay?
No, I know for a fact that she's dead because I...
Do you want to go ahead and try? It might still help, okay?
No, I don't think it'll help.
What I want you to do is take her off the bed.
No, I know for a fact that she's dead because I...
Do you want to go ahead and try? It might still help, okay?
No, I don't think it'll help because...
Come on, Paris, work with me. Paris,
Yes?
take her off the bed and put her on the floor.
Okay, hold on.
What I want you to do is I want you to put your hands on her chest,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I want you to push 30 times. I want you to count. Put your hands on her chest and then blow 2 breaths in her mouth, okay?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
15 minutes after Ella's death, police arrived at the home. They stepped into a scene of horror. Officers were trained for crime, but rarely were they prepared to see a child victim so young, and to realize her killer was her own brother. The contradictions hit them immediately. The calm boy standing before them, and the unspeakable violence in the room behind him. Paris was taken into custody almost immediately, though the motive, the why, was still a mystery. In the hours that followed, detectives tried to untangle the boy's story. They sat across from him in the interrogation room, watching his demeanor carefully. Paris spoke with intelligence, answering questions with a maturity beyond his years, but his explanations were troubling. He talked about demons, about strange visions. At first, investigators wondered if they were dealing with a psychotic break, if Paris had genuinely lost touch with reality. But the more they pressed, the more cracks appeared in his story. His calmness wasn't the confusion of someone in shock. It was the calculation of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Behind the glass, watching the interview, seasoned officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen lies before. They had seen manipulation. But there was something particularly chilling about a child weaving such stories so smoothly, so convincingly. This wasn't just a crime. It was a performance. And soon they would learn the motive, one that would shock even the most hardened investigators. The interrogation dragged on for hours. The talk about demons and pumpkin-headed monsters might have fooled someone else, but not the investigators in that room. They sensed something colder, something far more deliberate. And so they changed tactics. Instead of challenging his lies directly, they leaned in quietly, probing with questions that were designed to unravel him, to slip past the mask he had carefully built. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered fragments of Paris's life that painted an even more unsettling picture. He wasn't just smart, he was gifted. His IQ was off the charts. His teachers had praised him endlessly, and he had been enrolled in advanced classes for years. But alongside his brilliance was a shadow. He had a fascination with violence, with control, with power. Some teachers had noticed his disturbing drawings. Others had remarked on his detached demeanor. But no one had ever imagined it would manifest in such horror. Charity, meanwhile, was living through a nightmare she couldn't escape. When she arrived at the station that night, she was ushered into a cold, sterile room and told the unthinkable. Her daughter was gone, and her son was responsible. The words didn't make sense. How could they? A mother spends her life believing her children are safe with each other. To imagine one child killing another was like imagining the sun falling out of the sky. Impossible. When she finally saw Paris in custody, shackled, he looked at her with eyes that were hauntingly calm. He didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He just looked at her, as if daring her to see the truth of who he was. Charity later said it was the moment she realized the child she thought she knew was someone else entirely, someone she never truly understood. As detectives pieced the case together, a disturbing motive emerged. Paris hadn't killed Ella in a sudden burst of anger. He had done it because he wanted to hurt his mother. Charity had struggled with her own demons, addiction, mistakes in the past, and Paris, with his razor-sharp mind, had resented her deeply. By killing Ella, the one person Charity loved more than anything, he had found the ultimate way to punish her. It wasn't about Ella at all. Ella was collateral damage in his war against his mother. In court, the true horror of Paris's crime was laid bare. Charity sat through every day of the trial, her grief etched into her face. She had lost one child to death and the other to an act of irredeemable evil. There were moments when she couldn't bear to look at Paris, but there were also moments when she stared directly at him, searching for the son she once knew. What she found instead was a hollow, chilling emptiness. When the guilty verdict came, the courtroom was silent. Paris was sentenced to 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole until he was 53 years old. It was a sentence that reflected both the gravity of the crime and the chilling calculation behind it. But even with justice served, questions lingered. What makes a child turn into a killer? Was it nature? Was it nurture? Was it a combination of intelligence, resentment, and hidden darkness that no one saw coming? Or had there been signs all along that everyone missed? For Charity, those questions became her torment. She replayed memories of Paris as a little boy. The times he laughed, the times he hugged her, the times he seemed so normal. Were those moments real, or had they always been part of an act? She struggled with guilt, wondering if her past mistakes had fueled his rage. And yet, she was left with the cruelest reality. There was no undoing what had been done. Years later, Paris himself would give interviews from prison, speaking about his crime with a disturbing frankness. He admitted his motive had been to hurt his mother, to punish her by taking away the one person she loved most. Listening to his words, people were struck by how little remorse he showed, how his intelligence was still wrapped in cold detachment. He was not the boy who snapped in a moment of rage. He was the boy who planned, who chose, who executed his plan with chilling precision.